Respect isn't earned the way you were told. You were told, work hard, be kind, stay humble, and eventually people will see your value. Wait long enough, prove yourself enough, and respect arrives as a reward for good behavior. That's not how it works. That's how obedience works. Respect operates on a completely different circuit. Older, colder, pre-verbal. It's not assigned by committee. It's calculated by nervous systems in real time, based on signals you're sending that you don't even know you're broadcasting. Here's the part nobody hands you directly. People aren't deciding whether to respect you. Their bodies already decided, before the conversation even starts, based on a handful of behavioral tells that happen in the first 4 seconds. You felt this. You walk into a room and something shifts before you say a word. Or you say something sharp and true, and instead of respect, you get a flicker of irritation you can't explain. You did everything right and still got quietly filed under ignorable. That's not bad luck. That's architecture. And once you see the architecture, you can't unsee it. Most people spend their whole life trying to earn respect through performance, achievements, credentials, being agreeable, while the actual mechanism runs underneath all of that, untouched. You can win awards and still get talked over in meetings. You can be the kindest person in the room and still get treated like furniture. Because respect isn't a response to your resume, it's a response to your nervous system. There's one specific moment, I'll come back to this, where a person's entire social value gets recalculated in under a second, and almost nobody knows it's happening to them. Keep that in mind, we're circling back to it. First, let's strip out the noise. 1. Stop auditioning. Every time you explain yourself before anyone asked, you're running an audition. Auditions signal need. Need signals low status. This is neurological, not moral. Status detection is one of the oldest systems in the primate brain, and it's scanning for exactly one thing. Does this person need my approval or do they not? The fastest way to kill your own respect is over-explaining a decision nobody questioned. Watch for it. The instinct to justify yourself before you've been challenged is your nervous system pre-flinching. People don't consciously catalog this. Their bodies do it for them. Stop narrating your worth. State it once and let it sit there unguarded. 2. Your nervous system talks louder than your mouth. You can say the perfect sentence and still get ignored because your shoulders were already apologizing before you opened your mouth. Respect is read off your physiology before it's read off your words. Breath rate, stillness, how long you hold eye contact before you're the one who looks away first. These are ancient signals. They predate language by hundreds of thousands of years, which means they get processed faster than what you're actually saying. You are being read like an animal, not a resume. Regulate your body and the room recalibrates around you without you saying a single convincing thing. 3. Approval seeking is cognitive outsourcing. Every time you scan a room to check how you're landing, you're handing your decision-making to strangers. That's not humility. That's outsourcing your own executive function to an external server you don't control. This is the mechanism behind most chronic self-doubt, not lack of ability, but a habitual leak of authority to whoever's in the room. Your opinion of yourself becomes an average of everyone else's face, and faces lie. People perform boredom when they're anxious and disapproval when they're just distracted. You're building your self-concept off a broken sensor. Reclaiming respect starts with reclaiming that sensor. Decide your own read on yourself before the room gets a vote.
4. The group punishes growth, not failure. Nobody warns you about this one. The moment you outgrow the emotional ceiling of your friend group, family, or team, you don't get celebrated, you get quietly audited. Jokes get sharper, invitations get thinner, support turns into subtle sarcasm. This isn't because you did anything wrong, it's because your growth is a mirror, and mirrors are uncomfortable to people who haven't changed. Groups don't consciously conspire against you. It's a homeostatic reflex. Social systems resist any node that destabilizes the group's current equilibrium, the same way a body fights a fever. If your growth is being met with subtle friction instead of respect, that's not proof you're doing something wrong. That's proof you're doing something real. Before we go further, if this is landing, hit subscribe because the next 4 truths get sharper, and one of them is going to describe a specific moment in your life you've never had language for. And when we get there, I want you to drop a comment, not a generic one. Name the actual pattern, the specific relationship, room, or moment where you felt this happening to you in real time. Writing it down is the first step in disarming it. 5. Emotional familiarity is not emotional safety. You will mistake these for the same thing your entire life unless someone tells you the difference. Familiar is not safe. Familiar is just recognizable. Your nervous system was trained early, usually before age 10, on a specific emotional climate, chaotic, cold, inconsistent, whatever it was. That climate becomes your baseline, and your baseline feels like home, even when home was never actually safe. So you grow up and you find people who recreate that exact emotional weather, different face, same forecast, and your body sighs in relief because it recognizes the pattern. You call that chemistry. It's not chemistry, it's recognition. Your nervous system isn't choosing peace, it's choosing the pattern it already knows how to survive. This is why the same dynamic keeps showing up with different names attached to it. You're not attracted to the person, you're attracted to the climate. Breaking this requires something uncomfortable, deliberately choosing relationships that feel slightly boring at first, because peace has no adrenaline attached to it, and your nervous system has been trained to mistake adrenaline for love. 6. Your opinions are not always yours. Most of what you call my values is actually cached data, installed by parents, reinforced by peer groups, algorithmically amplified by whatever platform has been feeding you content since you were a teenager. Every scroll is a small vote. Every video you finish trains a system to give you more of what kept you watching, not what's true, what's sticky. Over years, this doesn't just shape your opinions, it shapes what you're capable of considering as an opinion in the first place. Cognitive dependency isn't just asking someone else what to think, it's having a machine quietly narrow your entire menu of thoughts before you ever sit down at the table. Respect requires an original position, not a contrarian one, an original one. And you cannot generate an original position from a mind that's been fed a curated diet for a decade. Audit your inputs like you'd audit a diet. What you consume becomes what you conclude.
7. Confidence and self-doubt can run at the same time, and that's the actual trap. Here's the moment I told you we'd come back to. There is a specific half-second where someone asks you a question you weren't prepared for, a challenge, a compliment, a confrontation. And in that half-second, your face performs composure while your internal monologue is already collapsing. That gap between the performance and the private panic is invisible to everyone in the room except one person, you. And here's the trap. Because nobody else can see it, you assume you're the only one who has it. You think everyone else is running on solid internal ground and you're the one faking it. That belief, everyone else is real, I'm the imposter, is not a personal flaw. It's a universal artifact of consciousness. Every single person in every room is running some version of that same half-second gap. Respect isn't given to people without the gap. It's given to people who stopped being terrified of it. The performance of confidence isn't the problem. Believing you're the only one performing, that's the problem. Once you understand everyone is acting, you stop needing to be the only honest one in the room, and the exhausting internal audit finally goes quiet. 8. Small, boring consistency rewires everything, including how people treat you. This is the one people skip because it doesn't feel dramatic enough to count. Respect isn't installed by a single powerful moment. It's compounded through hundreds of small, forgettable interactions where you did the unglamorous thing, held a boundary nobody was watching, told an inconvenient truth quietly instead of loudly, stayed regulated in a moment that would have justified losing composure. None of those moments feel significant in isolation, but your nervous system is building a case file on you at all times, and so is everyone else's. Respect isn't a verdict, it's an accumulation, a slow audit that either confirms or dismantles your credibility, one small, unremarkable choice at a time. You don't need one dramatic transformation. You need to stop leaking authority in 100 tiny invisible ways, starting today, and let the compounding do what compounding always does. Here's what you walked in believing: that respect is something you build through effort, achievement, and being liked enough by enough people. Here's what you're leaving with: respect was never a reward system. It's a nervous system readout, calculated below language, audited constantly, and mostly sabotaged by the exact behaviors, over-explaining, approval scanning, outsourcing your self-concept that you were taught were signs of being a good, humble person. You are not broken. You were calibrated by systems that needed you slightly anxious, slightly dependent, and slightly predictable, because anxious, dependent, and predictable people are easy to manage, easy to sell to, and easy to keep in line. You just got handed the blueprint of the maze. What you do with it now is the only part of this that was ever actually up to you.